Kier Starmer may have been a spy for the Soviet Union in the 1980s. Hello everyone, this is Andre Walker. Thanks so much for watching this video. Please do subscribe and hit the bell notification icon because it's the only way to absolutely guarantee you get all my videos as soon as they are released. Well, the claim that Kier Starmer might have been a spy for the Soviet Union is an extraordinary claim. And I have to say, if he wasn't in Downing Street, I'd be slightly nervous about him suing me. But it is something that ought to be seriously looked at. The reason is, in the 1980s, at the height of the Cold War, because of course it peaked just before it ended completely, 23-year-old Kier Starmer went to a work camp in Czechoslovakia, as it was at the time. They were building a war memorial for people who'd been killed by the Nazis, and in a sense, there was nothing wrong with that. But 17 students came from across Europe in order to support communist Czechoslovakia in building this. Now, the whole place was crawling with the KGB, and in fact, our archives have been opened up and show that Kier Starmer was listed in the operatives file of the KGB, although of course it doesn't say anything about what he did or didn't do. Obviously you wouldn't expect that the KGB would keep files. It is interesting though that the KGB have said that they didn't want Jeremy Corbyn on the grounds he was too stupid. Now look, I don't believe that we've ended up in a position where an active spy has made it into number 10 Downing Street. I don't believe that at all. Here's what I do believe. That for years and years and years, the people right at the top of this country have been fighting to oppose the ordinary people of this country. You look at what happened with Kier Starmer and Michel Barnier. Just to remind you, if you were in the United States of America, Kier Starmer would be in prison now, not in number 10 Downing Street. Let me explain. The reality is that there is a law in the United States of America which means that if you negotiate behind the back of the American government, you can be prosecuted for undermining the national effort, if you like. No such law in the United Kingdom. And that is the only reason why people like Kier Starmer and John Bercow were able to go to Michel Barnier during the Brexit negotiations and say to him to give the United Kingdom an inferior deal to what Theresa May was attempting to campaign for. And I will say one thing, Theresa May gets slagged off for her failure as British Prime Minister, but always remember, there were traitors in our own camp. What they wanted to do was get a very bad Brexit deal in order to ensure that Britain rejoined the European Union. And I think that's something that is ongoing now. So what is this consistent theme here? The consistent theme, I think, in a sense, dates back to 1066. If you think about it, Mrs. Bucket used to call herself Bouquet because there's always a tradition in this country, ever since the Normans invaded in 1066, of thinking of the French, the Europeans as better than the British. Certainly the establishment think that. You go to a posh restaurant, it's written in French, the menu is. If you talk to people about where the, where the poshest place to be is, oh, let's go to Paris. You even had aristocrats who used to go around Europe immediately after leaving school. And of course, whilst it's called a pig in the farm, it's called pork on the table, the French word. Whilst it's called cow, Anglo-Saxon in the field, it's called beef on the plate, which is the French word. And whilst it's called sheep in the field, it's called mutton on the plate, that being a French word. Kier Starmer does not believe that the United Kingdom is a force for good in the world. He believes that the best thing that the world can do is minimise the impact of the people of Britain, whether that be by empowering the Soviet Union, or whether that be by empowering empowering the European Union, or whether that be by empowering those countries that want to do down the United Kingdom by claiming that we deserve to pay reparations for slavery. All of these people are people that Kier Starmer will want to support and defend and protect, because if he does that, then he's able to demonstrate that the United Kingdom is an inferior place to the rest of the world. And I will tell you why it is so important that President Donald J. Trump is re-elected next week. The reason is because he has decided on something very clear, that we need to stand up for the Anglosphere. He believes there is no such thing as Western values of decency and liberty. Look, the French rounded up their Jewish people. The Nazis operated concentration camps. The Russians had gulags. The Spanish pillaged South America. I mean, when we are talking about Western values of democracy, it's nonsense. It's British values of democracy. And of course, the United Kingdom split in multiple ways. The United States of America, Canada, Australia being examples of it. Donald Trump believes in standing up for that Anglosphere and saying to the world that we are a force for good. And so you have to contrast and compare the leaders of various countries. Look at Kier Starmer, supporting the Soviet Union, going to communist Czechoslovakia, listed in a KGB operatives file. Probably lots of it have been removed. Look at Jeremy Corbyn. He was so stupid, the KGB didn't want him. Look at John Bercow going to negotiate with Michel Barnier in order to prevent the United Kingdom from having a quality Brexit deal. And then you look at Donald Trump and you look at the way that he wants to stand up, not just for the United States of America, but for Britain, and God bless, of course, for Canada, who've had a terrible time being denigrated by Justin Trudeau. Donald Trump comes to this country and says his only regret is his mother never lived long enough to see him meet Queen Elizabeth II. That is the sort of person that we want in the White House. And what we want in Downing Street is somebody who is going to be decent and stand up for Britain. And I have to say to you, if you look at the appalling rates of polling for Kier Starmer, I think it is possible that whoever wins the Conservative leadership election may be the next Prime Minister. It's also perfectly possible that Nigel Farage may be the next Prime Minister. These people are starting to get forward and starting to push. But I say to everybody who voted Labour at the last election, well, you have to be careful what you wish for, don't you? Because the reality is we are now seeing what it is like to live in a country where the leadership hate you, where the police want to lock you up for telling the truth, where the Crown Prosecution Service will let off sex offenders but throw you in prison for a mean tweet, where the Prime Minister himself is accused of supporting the Soviet Union in the 1980s, where a government will refuse a trade deal with the United States of America, which would make billions for British people, and instead they begin taxing farmers in a way that will absolutely destroy their livelihood and their ability to do this job. Compare and contrast, my friends. This is the danger that we suffer from. Thank you so much, by the way, for watching this video. Look, I just want to really thank you for the support for the channel. So far, I keep giving you an update. We've done 200,000 views in 3 days, which I think is good from a starting point of 0. Please do subscribe and hit the bell notification icon, because it's the only way you can absolutely guarantee you'll get all of my videos as soon as they are released. And amen to that, brother. Also, please do comment in the description, because I would love to hear what you think we should be talking about, and if you've got any stories. I know some people have already started emailing me in with some bits and bobs. I'm really sorry that I haven't got through all those. Okay, until next time, arrivederci and goodbye.